Great to see you, okay?
A conference in Qatar on U.S. Islamic relations brought me together with many of my Arab friends.
Well, nice to see you.
People I've gotten to know during my years of reporting from the Middle East.
You want to see me? I want to see you tomorrow, and I'm really hoping you have time.
Tomorrow.
Exactly, okay?
Some of them spoke frankly about their frustrations with America.
I liked very much what you said.
Oh, thank you.
I wanted to comment.
There's a huge space where the Americans and the Arabs can meet, and not only meet, but actually work together in deep solidarity.
My old friend Rami Khouri is a Jordanian writer who has spent long stretches of time living in the United States.
We want the goodness of American culture and values and people to become the goodness of American foreign policy. We know Americans are wonderful people. We send our kids there. We want to go study there. I'm the chief umpire of Little League Baseball in Jordan. It's one of the greatest things I do in life. It's also one of the toughest things I do and most satisfying. But this blend of American and Arab culture is deeply anchored in this region and in many of our people. But the people in the Arab world have been extremely angry at what Israel has done to the Palestinians. And they're equally angry at what they see as American acquiescence in this process. So the American link to Israel is extremely important.
Really touches that.
The second one is the question of double standards. That the United States applies a double standard, a hypocritical policy, and applies one standard here and one standard here. And that is the single most important thing I think that the U.S. can do. And you would have people jumping over you to be your friends.
But unfortunately, for now, so many Arabs view America as the enemy.
But I want to go back to the point you raised about why people maybe hate you here or something like that. I don't, by the way.
I talked with Mohammed Kamal, a Cairo University professor, and some of his students.
People associate you with America.
Kamal is an expert on the United States, a controversial topic today in the Arab world.
I was teaching a course on foreign policy in general, but most of the cases I used were related to the U.S. And I found out that some students, you know, it started first as, you know, rumors, and then someone stood up and told me, you have been brainwashed by America.
One of your students?
One of my students in class. So it started by, you know, being brainwashed by America. You're a CIA agent, you're a, you know, dual citizen, and so on. So people here are very suspicious of the U.S.
I mean, don't you think it's rather sad that Islam, Middle East, or terrorism, that those three words are always linked in one way or another? That's probably, I know that this is not Thomas Friedman saying, this is the way it is in the United States.
You know, it's the way it is in the United States because it also is the way it is in reality to some extent. You know, I mean, we weren't hit by 19 Norwegians on September 11th. And had we been hit by 19 Norwegians on September 11th, trust me, you know, Oslo would have a very different meaning in the American lexicon today, okay? The problem is all the terrorists we've been hit by were Muslims. That's the objective fact, you know, and not only were they Muslims, they claimed to be acting in the name of Islam. That's the tension here. That's the problem. You have, I have. I don't want this to be a war of civilizations. But unless there's a war within civilizations, between the good guys and the bad guys, there will be a war between civilizations. When you talk to young Arabs and Muslims, if you ask them where is all this free-floating anger coming from, they'll tell you Israel, what it does, and the United States, what it does in support of Israel. But to believe that was the only thing animating these young men is to believe that they care more about what's going on in a third country than they care about what's going on in their own countries. And I don't believe that. They also care very much about how their own governments are treating them. You've talked a lot about what America did to you, what the British and French did to you. What have you done to yourselves? What are Arabs responsible for? Are they only sub-objects to be acted on by these outside powers?
No, sure not. Of course, we have some responsibility that we are not revolting against our governments. And this has to come. But if you know how oppressive these governments are and how, what kind of police states we are faced with.
What are people feeling stripped of? You say it's the power to change their life? Is that it?
It's being citizens that determine their own destiny. It's democracy.
Saddam Hussein, Libya's Gaddafi, Syria's Assad, For decades, dictators like these have been oppressing their people. 15 of the hijackers came from Saudi Arabia and the other 4 from other Arab countries. But why would anger at their own governments cause young Muslims to hit America? Because they held America responsible for keeping their leaders in power. September 11th could never have happened if there hadn't been fanatical leaders who knew how to exploit the anger of those 19 young men. And that's why, for me, the best way to understand the 9/11 hijackers is to think of a cult. Like the cults led by Charles Manson or David Koresh or Jim Jones or the people who blow up abortion clinics in America. In all these cults, you find a tight-knit group bound by a utopian ideology devoted to charismatic leaders. We began this journey before the current Iraq crisis exploded onto the world stage. We don't know how this crisis will end. But there's one thing I know for sure. How we manage the aftermath of this Iraq story and what kind of peace we try to construct out there will have a big impact in determining who wins. The mountains of suspicion, the rivers of rage, or the voices of moderation who really do want to partner with us.
We are partners in the future of this planet, of this village. We have to teach these people that we are one family on this planet. There is no he and she and you and me. There is we. What you do in your life is the key to paradise. It's life. God didn't create us to die, but to live. And in order to live, we have to live with accordance to the others. We have to live with the others. We can't live alone. We can't.